My name is Catherine Kidwell, and my project is Get Up, Meet Up. I'm going to start with a little bit of literature behind kind of the idea for the project. Here in Arkansas, we have the 6th highest rate of obesity and obesity-related health conditions. And according to the CDC, depression is considered an obesity-related health issue. And so in my literature review of physical activity, my initial focus was on depression, but as I did some research, I found that physical activity is an effective treatment not only for obesity, but depression, anxiety, substance abuse, insomnia, autism, ADHD, and other developmental disabilities. So anaerobic exercise is defined as physical activity in which increases the endurance of the pulmonary and the cardiovascular system. And these are things like running, swimming, cycling, walking, rowing, skiing, and jogging. So as far as depression goes, there's a few different ideas here how exercise can be a treatment for depression. One of them is the idea that exercise increases your self-esteem because, as you exercise and you start to see results, you obviously feel better about your body and your self-image and self-esteem and things like that, as well as just confronting difficult challenges and actually overcoming those that can help increase your self-esteem, as well as just an overall feeling of feeling good about yourself. And the other theory, the science behind it, is that there are endorphins and neurotransmitters that are increased in the body during and following physical activity. And some of these neurotransmitters are actually the same ones that are found in some antidepressant medication and can be just as effective as medication in reducing those symptoms of depression. Some of these neurotransmitters that we've probably all heard of, norepinephrine and dopamine and serotonin, are all increased in the body with some physical activity. Anxiety, this one's really super cool. Anxiety. So those that experience anxiety often, report that they have a certain response in their body when they become anxious, and this response, the physiological response, mimics that of the same kind of stress that the body's under when we exercise. So your muscles are tense, you breathe faster, you're sweating, your heart rate increases, those types of things. So they say that as you exercise regularly, your body actually adapts to the stress of exercise, and then your body is able to generalize the body's response to the stress-producing stimuli. So there's also some biological and biochemical changes that occur in the adrenal cortex, which just gets a little deeper into the science side of it. But overall, the part that's important is that as the individual is exposed to exercise, that exposure to the distress of exercise desensitizes that individual to the somatic components of anxiety. The somatic components, the physical components we talked about, the muscles tensing and the breathing hard and the heart racing. So the individual then can cognitively relabel that biological response they feel when they are anxious, and instead of responding by fear, like, oh my goodness, I'm having a heart attack or I'm going to die, they're able to correctly attribute those symptoms to the biological response and not be alarmed by that discomfort. So they're able to kind of say, okay, I know what this is just anxiety, and then be able to cognitively relabel that. I know what to do. Let me use my breathing exercises, let me use my positive self-talk and self-affirmations, things like that to calm myself down instead of panicking even more over the biological response that's going on. All right, and then as far as some of the developmental disabilities like autism and ADHD, some of the research talked about this BDNF, which is a brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This is a chemical that's released in the brain during exercise that creates an optimal environment for these kids to be able to learn and create positive behavior change. So as that chemical is released, the brain is able to create new neurological connections which just increase the ability to learn, to be able to remember things, improves concentration, improves executive functioning, memory, retention, and recall, as well as just facilitating positive behavior change. Along with that is some of the same things that was experienced with depression, that these kids gain some kind of self-confidence, self-efficacy in their own abilities to overcome challenges that are difficult, in the gym setting or even outside the gym setting in an exercise setting, and they're able to attribute that to the academic setting, as well as the science behind what happens in the brain and the chemicals that are involved. Okay, so in creating my program, I used I looked at the existing programs that already exist there and tried to kind of come up with some ideas, taking from all these other programs. So this one in particular, it's called PEPI, and it's a peer exercise program, promotes independence. This one was geared towards the elderly population, 65 and older, here in Arkansas. This program was provided in numerous locations. It was done in senior centers and churches, nursing homes, housing complexes, and doctors' offices. And these classes were offered by trained adults, focusing on flexibility, balance, strength, and endurance, those things that we need as we grow older to maintain our independence, to be able to continue to stand up on our own. This program spread across the state. It was in 70 communities. There were 300 trained peer leaders. There was a lot of people that benefited from this program. They got their funding through a couple of different grants, as well as the Arkansas Department of Health, and then some private donors as well. And participants did report an overall increase in their mood, their endurance, and their lower body strength. Baptist Health here in Little Rock has several different programs they had going on as well. Their walking program is pretty basic, simple little idea, where they offered a little walking starter kit. It come with a pedometer and t-shirt and a few things like that. But anyway, I guess these people would then be able to track their walking on their pedometer, and Baptist Health offered incentives and things like that for reaching certain goals. And that one was pretty cool too, because it can be done anywhere, anytime. No trainer was necessary. No facility was necessary. You just get out and you go walking. They also had a Sister to Sister Move More, Eat Better program, which was really centered around African American women. There wasn't a lot of information on that, wasn't a lot that I could necessarily take away from that, but I did like the idea that it was specifically geared toward a particular population and working with that population. And the reason that their programs are so successful is that Baptist Health, they have such a strong presence in the community. Everybody respects them. They know they're a trusted organization. They have ample funding, and they're all over the state, so they can provide services to all kinds of different populations. The Get in the Game program, this was one that I really fell in love with. This one pushed my program a little bit further with a lot of different ideas, and one of those ideas is this joint use agreement. The program collaborates with schools and other government agencies with the use of this joint use agreement to use local fitness establishments that have pools, tracks, basketball courts, playgrounds, gym facilities, the schools, and other recreational facilities at no cost to the organization. So this program was implemented in several different cities. One of the cities contributed half the funds necessary to build a track at one of the local elementary schools. And inside that track, they also built a playground so that parents could bring their children to play on this playground. The parents could utilize the track and still be able to have their eye on their kids playing and getting physical activity, and the parents can get physical activity at the same time. The school district and the city are working together to donate several acres of land to one of the local high schools. They're going to build a baseball field and a couple of soccer fields, which will also be available for the community. And the collaboration between the city and the school district was pretty incredible with this one. They were able to build in one of the city's trails or tracks at all 30 of their schools in the district. And so being able to share the cost between the state and the school took a lot of the financial burden off one entity, which allowed them to be able to create all 30 of these tracks. In the same program, they had a reduction in obesity by 7% in the first year alone with their school-age kids. They also found a grant that is going to allow them to start a gardening program at one of the schools, and they're going to try to implement that at some of the other schools. I thought that was really an imperative part of overall health. And the reason these programs were so successful, and the ideas that I really liked that they had, is they were able to look at what facilities in the community already exist and how can we use those facilities differently. There was a true collaboration between the city, the school, and the community. And what they discovered is that these school facilities are only being used during the day for learning and academic events, and they're available on the evenings and the weekends for community programs, as well as just individuals in the community. The idea there is that, these schools facilities are paid for by taxpayer money, so why can the school facilities not be able to be utilized by the community as well? And this project was not led, entirely by just one individual. It took the collective imaginations and willingness and hard work, good leadership, and that growth mindset to improve the community, as well as ample funding through the Arkansas Department of Education grants, the school district, the community, city money, tax money, donors, and then the utilization of things that are already in place. So a lot of these things already existed. They are creating new playgrounds and tracks and things like that, but the majority of what the initial idea there was that these schools already had basketball gyms, they already had tracks, they already have soccer fields, and that these things can be utilized by the community. All right, and the Blue and You Fitness Challenge. This one is headed by the Arkansas Department of Health and Blue Cross Blue Shield, as well as the Arkansas Cardiovascular Task Force. And what they've done is created a challenge that they offer to companies and schools and any organization really that wants to sign up for this. The challenge only lasts for 3 months every year, and it's March 1st through May 31st. Basically, the way this works is you put your group together. Maybe it's your organization, your group at school or your group at work, and each individual gets on there and they can log their exercises, and you get points for logging your exercises, and then you also get points for your group for the lowest dropout rate, the highest percentage of earning 30 or more points in a month, the highest percentage of participants in your group, those types of things. Anyway, so as you get points, you basically advance your group further. And you participate. They are competing against other groups within your facility, or just other schools, or other groups doing the Blue and You Fitness Challenge. So in 2015, there were 115 groups with over 5,000 individuals logging exercises, and 92% of participants who were exercising between 0 and 1 time a week were reporting exercising at least 3 times a week towards the end of the challenge. That is a substantial improvement on getting people out there and getting them physically active. And this program continues to run. It's still in existence. There's no, very little funding is necessary. There's no coaching. There's no facility necessary. This can just be done anywhere at any point in time. Get on the computer, log your exercises, and have a good time with it.